2NURFM 103.7. Well, our next guest was spending the last few minutes lurking outside of our studio door, and I've told him repeatedly not to do that, but he's coming anyway.
Okay.
Our news editor and budget lover.
I am that.
Ian Crouch. Good morning, sir.
Good
How are
morning.
you?
Good.
Now, you've been...
Have you got any jokes about the budget? Tell them now.
Okay.
Make us laugh.
The big joke is what the Hunter got from the budget this year. Nothing.
There you go.
Yeah.
That was it.
But I know you've been pouring through all the stats and you've got some information there. So, budget 2018 last night, you were watching. What did we get for us right here in the Hunter?
Well, in terms of infrastructure spending, basically zero.
So why on earth can we not find the 50 cents required to build that 10-kilometre missing link from Beresfield to North Raymond Terrace? Why is this so hard?
That's a very good question. And I think the federal government is looking at other areas of Australia. Like New South Wales got $1.5 billion in infrastructure spending, and that's nothing, really.
Not really, when these projects cost, hundreds of millions of dollars. I see Coffs Harbour is getting their bypass, well needed, by the way.
Yes, it is, and that's a good thing. But there's $1 billion going into that project and that upgrade of that part of the highway all by itself.
Yeah.
That's it. So it's amazing. So hopefully we'll get something from the benefit of that in the long run, but it's not really for us.
Not particularly. So Williamtown, anything happening there?
Well, we'll get to that shortly.
You do like to do this. You like to go. He has his linear sheet. They're ready to go.
I have my running sheet, so to speak, because there's a lot to think about. There's a lot. This is why I love the budget. There's just so much to think about. You could spend your days and nights thinking about it anyway.
And I'm sure you do. Okay.
Oh, yes.
So what is happening in the Hunter in terms of infrastructure?
As we mentioned, no specific funding for things like the Glendale Transport Interchange, the M1 link to Raymond Terrace you mentioned, all the Muswellbrook or Scone bypasses. Now, although the region has missed out specifically on these things, there's a chance that we will get a share of the $3.5 billion Roads of Strategic Importance program over the next 10 years. So there'll be money out of that eventually, but whether any of that specifically is being targeted here, we don't know yet.
Okay.
But that's like a bit of a piggy bank of, we'll do this now,
And at some point, some money will be spent somewhere.
Yes, exactly. So that's it for infrastructure spend in the region. However, defence spending in our region did get a lot of attention. Another $1.8 billion is going towards the new Joint Strike Fighter project at Williamtown, while new air combat facilities at the base will receive $94 million on top of the $798 million already spent. Money's also been allocated there to air traffic control and aviation refuelling infrastructure. Now, you mentioned Williamtown. As we mentioned yesterday, Williamtown residents living in the PFAS contamination red zone will continue to get access to fresh drinking water as part of a $55 million program. That, of course, is about not just Williamtown, but also Oakey, and other parts of Australia impacted by PFAS contamination. But as we mentioned yesterday, again, there's absolutely nothing in the budget for buyout of properties on the table at all.
I'm pretty simplistic in my thinking generally. You know this. I think that there's a simple solution there. Buy everybody out that's affected and just put concrete down and extend the RAF base and extend the airport. How hard is that?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to go down very well somehow.
That's not going to happen, but that would be a simple way to fix everything.
Yeah, the issue there, of course, is always going to be the cost. Now, the budget did acknowledge the class actions that have been launched by residents at Williamtown and Oakey in Queensland, noting there's a potential risk to government finances, but no dollar figure has been included at this stage. So the government's kind of gearing up for a possible maybe there. So
I love that. A possible maybe.
Yeah. And so also one of the interesting things, $123 million has been allocated over 5 years for 5,000 Commonwealth-supported student places at regional universities. But guess what? Newcastle didn't get a cent of it.
Okay.
Now, I'm guessing it's because how the federal government has classified regional. So places like Coffs Harbour, the Coffs Harbour campus, for instance, is getting some money.
I think when it comes to terms of being called regional or almost metro, I mean, the Hunter, we get labelled into whichever one suits them.
That's right.
Yeah. Is there some good news in the budget?
Yes, we do have some good news. Hunter workers on low and middle incomes will be in for a modest tax cut from the 1st of July this year. So those in the low income tax bracket, that's under $37,000, will receive a cut of $200 a year, while those earning up to $90,000 will get a tax cut of $530 a year.
Wow, $200. Your lunch is $200 sometimes. Let
Yeah, well,
alone
it depends if I invite you to lunch, in which case it is $200.
some more good news.
Yes, aged care is also receiving a boost with 14,000 extra home care places to be created over 4 years. That's going to cost us $1.6 billion, while $146 million is going to improve access to aged care services in rural, regional and remote areas. Now, the other thing, the pension threshold at which benefits start to reduce is being lifted from $200 to $300 a fortnight. Doesn't sound like much, but those seniors who do a bit of part-time work will be able to keep more of their money.
A
That's
huge
always
relief
good.
there, which is good.
Anything we can do for people on pensions and seniors particularly is a good thing. And also, as we mentioned earlier this morning, a $10,000 wage subsidy is also being introduced to encourage employers to hire seniors who want to work. Again, there are plenty of seniors who still want to work. Some might actually have to work because pension and super is not keeping up with the pace of cost of living. And so some people do have to work, unfortunately.
Absolutely. And
if you're like me, once we get to retirement age, we're retiring. That's it.
Well, I was going to say anybody that's wanting to hire this man over here, they'll get an extra 10 grand in their pocket for hiring Ian.
I could take offence at that, but I won't.
All right. Thank you, mate. I'll let you get back to the newsroom and do all of the good work you're doing there.
Thank you.
Our news editor, Ian Crouch, giving us some of the highs and lows of the budget in 2018.